Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial of Affinity Photo. In this video, I'm going to do a simple edit in Affinity Photo. Most of the editing will be done in Develop Persona, which is the first step of any raw editing in Affinity Photo. So idea is basically to do maximum possible there so that we don't have to do much in Photo Persona, although the Photo Persona is the layer which is the fun part of Affinity Photo, but sometimes you have a lot of images to edit and they don't have much to do. They're like travel photos of yours or street photography, and you just want to edit simply make it look nice enough to post it in your social media, Facebook, and etc. And to be honest with you, you generally don't have to do too much of an editing unless you're doing extreme, fine art. The reason why I'm saying that, because sometimes if you woke up in the morning and went through a beautiful forest or beautiful landscape and the light is beautiful enough and the composition is well done and exposure is well done, then sincerely, I don't know what else to do in Photoshop or Affinity Photo in terms of editing, because the nature is giving you enough already. That being said, we're going to do this beautiful edit of the place that I visited in Reunion Island, which is a beautiful fountain in the middle of a tropical forest. So generally, when you select, I'm gonna go backward and then start from the beginning, which is File, then Open, and then I'm going to go to my folder. So there you go. Langevin, and then we have I took few photos of the same thing. This one I like it because I added a couple of person in front of this fountain to give you the idea of the size, which is nice composition already. That being said, this is a classic, a portrait version of this fountain, so I'm gonna edit that. So when you select a raw, generally by default it will take you straight to Develop Persona. Now, Develop Persona has many things to do, and you have some step to follow. Now, question: do you have to start from exposure, then fix the color and white balance, or do you fix the color and then fix the exposure? It depends. In this case, I'm going to come from the details, so I'm going to select the detail refinement and then turn on the default noise reduction. Not too much, just enough. And luminance, I'm going to zoom in quite a bit, see what is going on, and looks like it doesn't have much of a color noise. So I'm going to add just one and see if it's good enough. Looks like it's good enough. And on top, the metadata, it shows the ISO is 650 on Canon 70D. Old camera, but 640, it's okay. It doesn't show much of a luminance noise or color noise. So that's fine. The lens correction is done already by default, which is beautiful. Right, now I'm gonna put that on the side like that. Beam, or maybe in the middle, who knows? I don't care, I don't know, I'm just playing with it. Now we have our histogram, right? Before, I'm going to go to the scope, and then looks like in the scope it's definitely underscope. Histogram says it's underexposed already, but I like to work with my waveform. You can work also with the RGB. RGB gives you RGB parade. RGB parade and waveform actually shows you two things: exposure and correct white balance. So I'm gonna turn on the brightness, not exposure. But you can see that my highlights on the water is actually also kind of mildly overexposed. So I'm gonna go to my tone, turn on my curve, and make sure whatever happens, it does not overexpose my the water in the brightness in the water. So I'm going to turn down globally and pull back the lower part of it. So idea is simple. Although I'm trying to protect my highlights on the water, it shouldn't impact the rest of the image. That's the whole idea of curve. Now you can see that there is no, the red warning in the water, which is beautiful. Now the exposure, I'm gonna pull up the exposure just a little bit too, but not too much, because it looks like it's doing a little bit too much. I don't want that. Now here's the thing, I don't want to make the whole photo well exposed. I'm gonna do local exposure. So to do that, first I want a little bit of a vibrant, not saturation, just a vibrant. And then I'm going to go to the white balance, and I'm a big fan of red and yellow color, so I'm going to do that. And in the tint, you see that if you go backward, it makes it blue, green. If you go all the way up, it makes it red. Ideally, in the forest, you want to move towards red, not the green, because it also already dominated by the green landscape. So I think that's already enough. Now in the overlay, we're gonna do a couple of things. One, this, gonna make the bottom a little bit more bright to give you the direction to the fountain. And then I'll go to the brightness and see what it gives me. There you go, it's actually doing very well. And then also the exposure, maybe I'll go to the exposure, and then that I'm thinking, my silent is because I'm thinking. So this is a thinking process in my head while I'm editing and talking to you. So I'm gonna do a little bit up, exposure, that's alright. And then a black point again, so that it adds a little bit of contrast. You can see the rock and the shape of the rock. So we are already at a good start, followed by going back to the overlay. And then I'm going to take my brush now, and right here in the middle, I want to darken a little bit. The reason behind is that simple. I like this tree. You can see that, this one. So I want that to stand out, not the whole part of it. So I'm going to make the middle darken and touch the rock, because that matches with the color of the rock. So it starts from there all the way up and make it mildly underexposed. You can see that. Now it's not perfect enough, so I'm going to go to the opacity and reduce the opacity a little bit. It's still a little too big for you, I think. And then I'm going to go to select this brush again, and then brush the tree. So that's selecting exact same thing. So I want a new brush. So I'm going to click Ctrl Z, select a new brush, and then the hardness I'm going to select all the way down. So what's happening? There you go. Now it's perfect. So it's nice and soft. That's exactly what I was looking at. There you go. Perfect. Now there, I'm going to go to enhance, turn on vibrance a little bit more of exposure, a little bit more of a black point, so it gives a little bit more contrast. And then it's looking so far so good. So I'm gonna go and then click develop. Now we're going to go to the photo persona and do the rest of the editing. It's gonna take some time, depends on your computer, of course, but that's totally fine. So yeah, there, nice. Nice. Right, now what are you gonna do? Simple, right click, duplicate. We're going to edit on that duplicate part, and then simply we're going to work on color, because this is exposure is perfect. I'm gonna go to the histogram and check it. It's pretty good. It allows me to add contrast in certain area. Now I'm gonna go to the HSL, select the green, select the picker, add the color, and change the hue shift to somewhere else. Add the saturation a little bit. Now it's looking beautiful and green, like really green. That being said, the foreground should be different. So in that case, I'm going to select the foreground this time. So another HSL. There you go. Then add a mask. Now this is where the fun began. Boom. So you know that where I selected my mask. At the foreground, maybe I can go up just a little bit, just till here. Maybe like that. Now we're gonna double click the HSL, select the green, select the picker, now select the water. Now we're gonna go towards the blue, because the water needs to be blue, right? So let's see the change. You can see the change at the foreground. So we need it to be blue. That's our goal here. So I'm going to select the picker again, and I'm going to select control, or I can select reset, then green, picker, not picker, I'm just going to do straight change. See where it's taking me to the blue direction. There you go. Now you can see that here is actually changed to blue. Now go up the saturation. In the blend mode, I'm going to change to color. What happened is that it doesn't affect your luminosity of the water. And now I'm going to select the aqua, and then see if it's changing somewhere, because all I need is a really strong and beautiful blue. So that's all I want at the foreground. In the red, I'll see the same thing. Right, and a bit more saturation. You see that the foreground is now nice and beautiful. I'm gonna change the luminosity at the foreground as well. Right, because the foreground is super important, because it leads you to the fountain, which is our goal in this image. And then another layer, followed by recolor. Now recolor doesn't work in this way. It still needs to be at the foreground. So we're gonna add a mask, select our tool to mask the foreground. Then we are going to reduce the saturation, go to blue, not too much though, lightly, and then lightness, that's fine. Opacity, very low, and we're going to try the little other blend options. So let's see the screen, lighten, beam. Right, I think we've done enough work at the foreground, which is doing very well. Our greenery is fantastic as well. To finish it, finally, we can go to the diffuse glow. And opacity, we're going to work on the overlay. Now that should be differently. And the overlay gives you too much of the contrast. So either we can select the luminosity. What's happening? You will be using diffuse glow on luminosity either or on the color. So if you zoom in quite a bit and change the luminosity, you can see that it's actually working on the light than the color. So I think the color is more safe because you still keeping your contrast. Now radius a bit more, gives you a nice little soft look. Intensity, I like a little bit of intensity in my photos, especially the landscapes. And opacity, let's see, we're gonna start from 100. Wait just a little bit, let's see what it gives, and go all the way down. See the change, not much. So we're gonna stay in the middle as it was originally. Threshold, maybe a bit more up. Just out of curiosity, I'm gonna go to normal and see what it gives. So it's gonna work on everything. Now I'm gonna go back to color. To end this edit, I'm going to go to levels, add a little bit of black level to add some nice contrast. That being said, add a little bit of white level to give more contrast, and add some more brightness, and then change to luminosity only. What is missing for me? A little bit more vibrance. So I'm going to add a little bit of more color, and that's it. So there you go. It's a nice little edit on Affinity Photo. I hope you like this edit. If so, like and subscribe, and let me know what else I could have done in this beautiful image. If you notice that I did not do any kind of noise correction, any kind of, well, we are done. So I'm going to do an export, and there's a little trick that I would like to show you as a bonus. So first thing, export, and then I'm going to do that as JPEG. Simply, doesn't need to make things complicated in life. And then change the name Langevin and AP, Affinity Photo. Save it. It's going to take some time, that's totally fine. And there you go, that's the final image. You can clearly see. Now here I'm going to add a little bit of sharpen, of course. I could do that in Affinity Photo, as you know, but I'm gonna do that here. Maybe a bit more sharpness. And okay. Now we're going to go to edit with external film, and this is where I was going to show you the little software called Dehancer, where I'm going to add some beautiful film stock. So I'm going to change my graphics card. I'm going to change to color negative, and my personal favorite, which is Cinestill 50. That being said, I'm going to do a little bit of change. In this change, I'm going to add some film grain. I will leave it to default, and a little bit of halation. Also a bloom, which should give a nice, beautiful, soft look. And normally it should be fine, but maybe this one. There you go. Perfect. Now that's our final look, ladies and gentlemen, and here is the result. But before, I'm going to save this as a preset. So finally, before, that's our original edit from Affinity Photo, and after in Dehancer. Wonderful, isn't it? So yeah, if you like this software, you can go down in the description below and then download the trial and then see for yourself. This is all from me. Like and subscribe, and I see you in future videos. Bye bye.